Well, good afternoon, Ridgefield. How are you again today? Here we are to get up and going and keeping you safe once more. If you remember from yesterday in our conversation, we were talking about different things that you're able to do to be able to keep your computer safe and keep it up and running. And just as a quick reminder, that was update your hardware, your software, run a good antivirus program on a regular basis, and fourth, clean out those temp files with a reboot in between them. And we also talked a little bit about malware, which we're going to talk about again today, just a little bit in keeping you safe. But our real focus today is about passwords and a little bit about how our current predicament that we're in as a whole is actually really hurting us a lot and is making you susceptible to a lot of big issues. So let's begin. First, wanted to tell you that as a network professional, we do need to keep up to date on the latest problems that are going on and viruses, security flaws, and stuff with hardware and all this other stuff. Well, everybody has their own little preferences in which they like to keep up to date with. For myself, I actually prefer a lot of the security pieces, the vulnerabilities, all the bad stuff, because it's actually really pretty cool if you think about it. It just gives us a lot of heartache, and that's the biggest problem. So we're going to go into this, talk about this a little bit. And I do want to say, if anybody's out there watching that's not from Ridgefield, please drop us a little line. We'd like to know where you're from and where you're listening from. So, first, the biggest thing that we're dealing with, as you know, is this whole pandemic. It's affecting everybody across the whole in our town, in the towns next to us, the state, all over, even across the whole U.S. It's affecting everybody, and it's a big deal. But with that, and because of how many people it's affecting, the bad guys are out there too, and they're trying to capitalize on those bad things. And like we were talking yesterday, you're on your computer a lot more now at home than you probably normally would be. So something that did come up in a conference call that I had today that was huge and was very interesting is people are actually looking, excuse me, was is actually people are very curious about the virus that we're dealing with. Everybody's looking up Corona, COVID-19. Ooh, what's going on? What's the next thing that's happening? Constantly scouring the internet, watching the news, trying to get every bit of information. And if you're one of those people, well, my own opinion, I'm sorry to hear that because it's probably going to be freaking you out a little bit because this all the bad news that we're hearing. And I'm not saying not to do, we should keep on top of it. But you know what? Too much of it can kind of get you a little paranoid, in my opinion. Maybe not, but it can be a little tough because it can get you very worried and very scared. And then I'm not saying it's not nothing not to get scared about, but there's only so many things that we can do to protect ourselves, and we just need to be aware of it. So, but reason why I'm bringing this up is if you ever try searching the internet for stuff having to deal with, or you get an email linking you to stuff that has to deal with COVID or Corona as part of their website, as we found out to today, over 95% of all those websites actually are infected websites. Yes, they are. And I'm not talking about going to the websites through the local news companies or through the weather.com or any of those. I'm actually talking about COVID19.com or COVID19.net or anything like that, or even Corona.net, Corona.com. Those sites, other than the beer Corona, and that's actually very different. But I just want to let you be aware those sites are infected. They're actually filled with malware. There's a whole list of different poor sites that have been flagged already throughout the internet, and they're coming up on a regular basis. So if you're interested about the virus, don't go to a site called COVID-19 or coronavirus or something to that effect in the actual name itself of the website. Please save yourself the trouble. You want to stay protected. You don't want to get infected. That's the worst thing that can happen to you right now because we don't want your computer slowing down. And that leads us to something else. When people get infected, what is the one thing everybody's afraid of? Passwords. The big scary thing, passwords. And everybody knows passwords is the one thing everybody hates. Nobody likes to talk about them. Nobody likes to remember them. Everybody uses the same stuff over and over again. And let me tell you something about passwords. The password, not a password. It's actually ranked as one of the top 5 passwords that are used, and that's password with a capital P or a lowercase p. Also, passwords of 123, 123, 4, 5, 6, 7. All of that horrible, horrible passwords. Do not do it. And I know you're going to say, well, and I should say, everybody, all of you out there, or most of you, other than some of my clients, I hope, don't use the same password. I always try to tell you use different passwords for different websites. And you're going to say, Rich, that's so hard. I've got so many things that we have to worry about. I've got a password for my bank accounts. I got a password for my credit cards, password for my memberships. You got all these different passwords. You're probably going to say, I have like over 50, 100 passwords I'd have to remember. It's too difficult. Then they all want all different ways, and I can't remember all of these. I agree. It's actually very, very important. And what I would like to say is, I definitely think you should go right ahead. And first of all, let me talk about what a password should be. And if you look at now, a lot of the places have been trying to say to make it more complex, it has to be 8 letters long, can't be letters, has to be letters, numbers, special characters, and all this other stuff. Like, how am I ever going to remember all these things? Well, you know what? You're not. Let's face it. Some of these websites are even looking for 12 character passwords. How many of you really know a 12-letter word out there and can spell it consistently all the time? Probably not a whole lot of you. I know I can't do that, and I have no intention of trying to do that on a regular basis because I don't want to lock myself out. So, what is the solution? Well, there's a few different solutions. First of all, get rid of a word and convert that to a phrase. As an example, have your password be I don't want to. The capital I and the don't with the apostrophe and then the number 2. Believe it or not, that kind of a password goes a long way. That actually is a very complex password. And it's something very easy to remember because everybody says, I don't want to. I'm like, there's your password. And that could work. And people think I'm kind of funny. Or you can have Mary Had a Little Lamb. Long, complex, you can do anything you want. Now, you're probably wondering, what do I mean by a complex password? What am I talking about? Well, luckily, there's a couple of websites out there that you can put in a password and it will tell you how easy it is or difficult it is for you to crack. Crack meaning someone guessing it. One of the places that I've used in the past for testing people's passwords and having them look at it, and they've actually been very pleasantly surprised, is howsecureismypassword.net. Wonderful little site. You just type in a password. You don't put any information in. Type in something that you think you would like to use, and you will see it. And as you put it in, it tells you how fast the computer will be able to figure out that password if someone actually got onto your machine. And they would have gotten onto your machine because you didn't follow instructions. You didn't have an antivirus software, and you went to that COVID website that you shouldn't have gone to that I just told you about. So go to the howsecureismypassword.net. Type in a password that you think that you like, and you'll see how long it takes. Now, please keep in mind, a password that they say will take you 3 months, 6 months, 8 months to crack or to be able to guess is okay. It's nothing that difficult. I would like you to have passwords that are closer into the years, like hundreds of years to take to be able to come up with. That is then a secure password. And you can use that. Was to test your passwords, you want to go to a website, how secure is my password.net. And when you go there, you can put in a password and you can see how strong it is. You do want your password to be very difficult to come by or to be able to be hacked or guessed, which means you want it to be in years, not minutes, hours, or months. You do want it, the longer the years, the better, preferably in the thousands of years, which would be wonderful. One of your pieces that you can actually do, one of the passwords that you can use would be I don't want to with an apostrophe in there and the number 2. That's actually a couple of thousand years, and that does run very well. As we go through this, I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to go into that website right now, and I'm going to tell you how secure that really is. Or password.net. I go in there, it comes up. I'm going to enter the password, capital I don't want to. And when I put that in, it comes up as 800 years, which I think is pretty darn good. But to kind of give you an idea, when I just put I, it's too quickly for it to go anywhere. And I have the don't, with an apostrophe is actually 3 seconds to get it. And then want, when I get to want, that's actually 3 years. I put the number 2, that's 800 years. And if I put an exclamation point, that's 485,000 years. So that actually would be a very good password to use for yourself, but don't do that because I just told you that and everybody's going to know about it. So we don't want that happening. Okay, we'll come out of that website real quick. The other thing is you do want to use phrases, not just words. Because a lot of these places want you to have 8, 9, 10, 11, even 12 letter passwords. They're trying to get more and more complicated because people are getting hacked or the websites are being hacked. So the more complicated you can make it, the better. I know you're probably saying, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to remember these long passwords? I don't know 13-letter words. Don't worry. That's why you use a phrase. Phrase makes it a whole lot easier. What you're going to want to do is actually be using a program called RoboForm or Dashlane or LastPass. These are all different types of password managers. These password managers will be able to help you with passwords for all your different websites because you do want to have different passwords for each website. You don't want to be using the same password. I know you've been told that many times and it's really difficult, but with these types of programs, it makes it very, very easy to do it, especially for a nominal fee. It's well worth it. I personally use RoboForm. I find it very good. I have it on all my computers, so I'm able to maintain all that information. And all I need to do is have one complex password that I keep on my laptop to be able to access all my other passwords. Beauty of a lot of these programs is that you're able to go in with them and it will generate passwords for you, which is a great thing. That way they're really complex and you don't have to worry about it. All right, this is getting kind of late. Just want to touch base with you, let you know what's going on. And we will talk tomorrow. Remember, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'll see you and answering your questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.